Hello, Keith Rucker here, VintageMachinery.org. Hey guys, we are getting ready to start another little video today, and what we're going to be working on are some of our straight edge castings. And if you've been following the channel long, you know this has been kind of a project that seems to have just stretched on and on and on, like a lot of my projects seem to do. Just don't have enough time to get out here and do everything I want to do. But a while back, I started designing a smaller straight edge to use in the shop for scraping projects and so forth. And I wanted something that was a little bit smaller. I got an 18-inch, I think was the smallest one. A 12-inch is kind of the standard, I think, for the smallest straight edge that's mostly out there. I'm sure there's other ones. Usually when they get down to these smaller sizes, they'll just take a piece of cast iron and make one up. I thought it'd be cool to have a true camelback in that design, so I wanted one in the 9-inch length. I've also done some castings or patterns for a 6-inch straight edge, and planning on doing a 12-inch straight edge as well along this same design that I've come up with. I've been through a couple of different versions of the design. We've made patterns, we've cast them, I've taken them back, I've done, actually machined them out and done them, and I looked at them, I'm like, well, I don't really like this, I don't really like this. We modified the design. I think I'm finally down to the final design that I really like. And taking advice from many of you guys, I decided to personalize these. I actually got my name, Rucker, in there. And eventually here very soon, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to offer these for sale, because I've had a lot of interest from you guys out there saying you would like to get some of these. So anyway, today what I want to do is, these are my most recent prototypes. These are fresh back from the foundry. Clark Easterling over at Windy Hill Foundry has been doing the foundry work for me. And these look awesome. And we want to take them, machine them, actually scrape them, make sure everything is good, make sure everything is ready to go. And as soon as I'm happy with the quality of everything, we're going to put these things out here for sale. So let me zoom in and kind of show you some of the features on these, and then we'll get over to the milling machine and start doing some cutting. Well, here you can kind of see the design, and we've got the traditional camelback on it. This gives you something to hang on to when you're working with it. It also kind of gives you a little bit of a thermal separation from the part down here on the bottom. Just the heat from your hand can actually change the geometry of one of these things when you're doing really precision work. And while, yeah, you can still get heat up here, it's going to take a while for your heat from your body to get down here to the bottom part. And there's a lot more mass down here than there is in the top. Like I said, I put my name on one side. On the other side, we've got the model number, and I call this an RT-9SE. RT is Rucker tool, which is something I'm playing around with. I may offer some other tooling down the road. I got some ideas on some things, and then a 9-inch straight edge. And I've got plans to do a 6-inch straight edge and a 12-inch straight edge. We may even do some larger straight edges down the road. We'll see how things go. Do them one at a time. These little tabs here, this is a design feature that you would see usually, quite honestly, on larger straight edges, but it actually, what you could do is you could take some wooden blocks and pin them to these little thin pieces, and when you set them down upside down, it gave them something to kind of balance on. So you could set these down upside down, and I tried to put those at about the 3rd mark so that it would have about, the rule of thirds when you're laying something down precision-wise, so helping to keep it flat and so forth down the road. Anyway, that's kind of a little bit about the design. What I want to do, I will say, when we offer these for sale, they're just going to be a raw casting. That's the plan right now. I may eventually offer some machining on them initially, though, guys. If you want one, you're just going to have to get a raw casting and do your own machining. Again, it's just a matter of time. Doing this machining operations takes a lot of time. I'm looking at some options to be able to perhaps down the road have some that are partially machined, or machined, maybe ground, but then you finish it out by scraping it. But initially, again, they're going to be a raw casting. I just was trying out some different colors here. These are not colors that I'm going to be offering them in or anything like that. You can paint them whatever color you want when you get it. So anyway, let's go over to the milling machine and start machining these. We're going to start by milling the bottoms of these flat. That gives us a reference surface to work off of. So I just got them laid over on their backs. I'm using a little bit smaller diameter cutter here. This is just a really nice cutter. It's real true. All the teeth are in line with one another. It's probably the best face mill I've got. But it is a little bit small in the diameter. So I had to put some riser blocks underneath these to get them up high enough. My table is up pretty much as high as it'll go on this machine. So let's see, I'm running at 322 RPMs. And I got my table feed set on 1 3/4 inches per inch, or per minute rather. And we're doing about a 25,000th depth of cut. This first pass I'm taking a little bit on the light side because I know that there are some areas in here where I got thicker and thinner material. So I want to just get it cleaned up, and it can take a lot more than 25 thou. So let's let this feed across. Let her eat. So we're coming to just give you a shot on the back side. You can see these areas here where they poured it and cut them off, so I got a little bit thicker areas there. It's not even touching right now. It's just kind of depending on where it's at, but we'll take a pass or two and get this cut out. Starting to pick up that little seam in there now. So this is second cut going across here, and we're cutting a little bit heavier pass this time. Looks like it's cleaning up a good bit of the bottom there. We're still trying to get some of these little pour places where they poured it and cut it off have machined out, but we're making progress here. I got my feed up now, I think about 3.5 inches per minute. Cutting across here a little bit faster, and it's cutting just fine. We'll probably bump the speed up, or the feed up rather, a little bit more and be all right. Now we're more or less making a full depth cut here. We're going 50 thousandths cut, 50 thousandths deep, and we're cleaning up the whole bottom of face here now. Got all that unevenness out. And I think we're about 2 3/4 inches per minute on the feed. I slowed it down just a little bit with this heavy full cut, but it's cutting like a charm. So we're on the back side now. We're just coming across and basically just squaring this back edge up, trimming that side down, getting a nice machined edge back there. So we'll go ahead and get all these castings done on the back and then move to the next step here. Now we're over on the vertical mill, and I'm going to go ahead and mill the tops of these flat, more or less parallel with the bottom. We're going to true it up over on the surface grinder, but this will make that job a little bit easier when we get over there, get the bulk of the material off. So let's touch off. And we'll take a pass across, taking about 15 thousandths depth here. And we'll just take this in a couple of passes. Well, I've got everything pretty well milled except for this front 45 angle, and I really don't have a good way to do that on the milling machine. I could do that on the milling machine, but it's going to take some setup time, and I'm just going to grind it in there. It's going to take me a little bit extra time over here, but I think for just one straight edge, which is all I'm going to grind today, that's what I'm going to do. So one thing I will comment on is that, you know, the grinding here is really kind of optional. If you're scraping something in, it's going to save you a lot of time if you can grind it first, because it's going to get it a lot flatter than what will come off of a milling machine. But if you don't have a surface grinder, this is by no means a deal breaker. So I've got that mag down. Let's come over here. We'll touch off on the top first. This is going to become my surface that I'm going to be indexing off of for the bottom. So I want to go ahead and get a good flat surface on the top. And I'm touching off right there. A little heavy on one side. I like to kind of first pass, just kind of feel myself around. Now I'm going to feed it down about a thou and turn on some mist here. And we'll use the automatic feed. And that's going to clean up pretty much right there. I think I will take another half thou off of it. Maybe just a little bit light there on the front and over there in the back, but honestly, that's good enough right there. So let me come in here. I'm going to feed down just a half a thou. We'll come back across that. All right, I'm going to pull it off, and we're going to come in here now and do the bottom. And to give it some stability, I've got some magnetic transfer blocks. I'm going to put one behind it here. We'll put the straight edge right up next to it like that. And I'll put another one here on the front. That just kind of gives it some stability side to side. All right, that looks good. So now what I'm going to do is we'll come back in here and we'll hit the bottom of this. I'm going to raise it up about a thou. Just going to kind of real quickly go across it and make sure we're not going to crash our wheel anywhere. Down a thou. I still should be about a half a thou off if it's the same height as that last side. And we hit a little bit right there on that corner, but that's all right. I'm going to feed down a thou. And yeah. So just from the milling machine, it looks like the corners were a little bit high, and I think that's just from the fact that we had some heat in there, but probably pretty minimal. This is why grinding helps a lot rather than just going straight from the milling machine to scraping. We can get a lot of this little small variations out, and remember when you're scraping, you know, a thousandth is a long way to go. So people say, well, isn't milling flat enough? Depends on what you're doing. For most things, yes, the milling is flat enough. For precision scraping, we want to be a little flatter than that. Still high on those ends. All right, we are cleaned up all the way across now. That was about 4.5 thou. I'm just going to take another half thou and let it just come back across that. We'll just taking a total of 5 thou off. All right, so next thing I want to do is get this back edge, and I'm just going to lay it up. I've got these magnetic transfer blocks behind it, and the magnetic flux is going to hold that bottom in place. So it's just a little narrow area right here, and I'm just sitting on the edge on the bottom side of this straight edge. So one thing I will comment here is that this, we cut this off using just rough casting. I guess what I'm getting at here is this may not be parallel now, but this is actually going to work out better being parallel to the other side when I go to grinding that longer rough face on the other side. So let's come down here and touch off. I fully anticipate this to be at some sort of funky angle. So we'll find the high spot. I'm touching right there. So it's cutting heavier on that end and lighter on that end. So I'll come back out. We'll touch off on the very end here. And we'll just grind that until it's parallel with that rough casting face on the other side. All right. I'm going to probably just start doing this by hand. Once I get a little bit longer area in there, I'll switch over and do it. Let the machine do the work. And I'm taking a little bit of a roughing pass right now, specifically because I know I'm going to probably have a lot of material to cut off of this. That's got that face done. All right, so now what I want to do is I got my blocks in here. These are ground at 45 degrees. I'm going to drop this down in here. I've got that, the bottom is already ground flat, the back is already ground flat, and the back is ground more or less parallel to the front side here of this. So within theory, this should come in pretty quickly. Let me turn my mag on and let's come in here. We'll touch off. And I haven't machined this surface, so this is going to take a little bit of time. We're going to be basically grinding this surface in. So let me come down till we touch off. Right there. Run around on here. Okay. So let the automatic feed take over now. We'll finish grinding this until we get a nice clean face all the way across. I think we got it pretty well cleaned up, just kind of going back across this, taking a real light pass, letting it spark out. And I think with that, we're going to have this thing ground in, and we're ready to go start scraping. So we're ready to start scraping, and I'm just going to go use my Biax power scraper. We're right off the surface grinder. We should be pretty flat. Usually this, my surface grinder gets it within, a few tenths anyway. I haven't even checked it. It's really not that important. We're going to be checking it against the surface plate here in a minute. So I'm going to start by just go ahead and making my first cross. So I'll go in one direction. I'll come back in the other direction. We'll stone it, go blue it up, and then start chasing high spots. Let's see what happens. Got my scraper on a pretty long stroke right now. We're starting out making really, just roughing passes. Seems to be scraping nicely. Tells me my cast iron's good. I'm going to come at it from the other angle now. Let's brush it off. I'm stoning it using precision flat stone here. All right. I'm going to put a little contrast on here before I take it over to the plate. Okay. And now let's go blue it up. All right, so for those that are not familiar with the scraping process, what we're trying to do is get the bottom of this thing in a perfect flat plane, and we're going to reference that on a surface plate. Now this surface plate is granite, and this has been confirmed to be very, very flat. This is I think we checked this out, it's a grade A plate right now. I probably need to come in here and have it lapped to get it even flatter, but it's pretty darn flat. I'm going to hinge it. It's hinging on a corner down here, hinging over here, so it looks like that's going to be my high spots. I rub it. I got a thin layer of blue on here, And just like we saw with the surface grinder, we're high on the edges. So I'm going to take this back over to the scraper. We'll scrape those edges off and continue this process, basically scraping off the blue until we get this thing nice and flat. So I'll bring you back in a bit. I've made a couple of passes here, and we're starting to see things kind of happening. So still a little bit high on this edge, but starting to touch kind of in here in the middle. This is low here. So basically what I'm doing with this scraping is I'm just using the blue as an indicator, and we're going along and we're cutting it off. Clean this up. Stone it here to remove any burrs. Put some contrast on here. And to the plate. Rinse and repeat. Let's take the blue off. We'll bring you back after a while. You can kind of see where we're at. It's just a matter of repeating the process over and over until you get good coverage and good contact all across the piece. Well, guys, I've been scraping on this for probably about 3 or 4 hours, top and the bottom rather, and the dovetail, and I'm getting pretty happy with this. I'm running out of time today. I need to get this video out. I'm going to come back and probably continue just fine tuning this thing. I mean, I'm really close. I've got good contact here, good contact here. I've got really satisfactory contact in the middle here, but I still think I need to bring these ends down a little bit, just get a little bit more uniform contact across that way. Now, on the dovetail, similar thing here. I've got pretty good, I don't get as good a print on the dovetail sometimes as I do on the other, just because I can't move it around as much. But, you know, we got a little bit of some low spots. So I got a little bit more work to do on that as well. But it's coming along nicely. The scraping is, and hopefully we'll have this thing knocked out with just a little bit more work. Probably another hour on this and I should have it knocked out, but like I said, I need to get this video edited and out, so we're gonna leave off there for this video anyway. Well, there you go, just a couple little comments about the whole process here. So first off, I didn't go into a whole lot of depth on the scraping part of this. I've shown scraping straight edges and other scraping in other videos. If you're interested in learning more about scraping, I'd encourage you to go take a look at some of my older videos. You can search for scraping on my channel, and you'll get lots of different hits, and we'll go into it in more detail there. Second thing I want to just comment on is the castings here. I'm pretty happy with what we got. So Clark over at Windy Hill Foundry has done a good job with these, and you know, we've actually been talking back and forth. He wants to make another little tweak to the casting process. I did have a little bit of hardness along the the front edge of this where it was a little bit thin in there. I was able to scrape around it and work around it fine, but it was a little bit aggravating, and he wants to try another little thing in his casting process to see if he can get a little bit more uniformity in the hardness, particularly on this leading edge. So he's going to send me another casting. I'm going to take another look at that. So still a little bit on hold on getting starting to take orders, but man, we are really, really close. In fact, I actually would probably be okay selling these castings as they are, but at the same time, I think that we do have room for a little bit of improvement. Third thing, this particular straight edge that I'm working on right now, this one is going to be going with me out to California in June. We're going to be going out to the Barcy Summer Bash again. Been out, I think this will be my 4th trip out there to that event, which is usually held the first weekend of summer each year. Stan Zinkowski hosts that over at his place in near Rancho Cucamonga, California, and I'm planning on going out there as well as a lot of other YouTube creators. And what I plan to do is we're going to bring this along. This is going to be one of the door prizes that is given away at the Bardsey Bash to the participants who come out. You can purchase raffle tickets, and they have lots and lots of really cool gifts and different door prizes and things, and I'm going to be putting this straight edge. This will be, I'm not serial numbering these, but if these were serial numbered, this would be serial number 1. Anyway, kind of interesting there, and I'm going to be doing a little bit more touch up on this to get it just right before I do that. But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that real quick. If you're interested in participating in the Bash this year, honestly, I'm not sure if they've sold out tickets or not. I haven't looked over there recently, but go check out Stan's YouTube channel. Shaden HKW is his YouTube channel name, and you should be able to find information about the Bash, and you can email Stan to find out about tickets and so forth to come out if you like. So with that, that is going to be a wrap. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please feel free to leave comments if you like, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that, we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks, guys.